Hello and welcome to COS Live, brought to you by Support the Springs and the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC. I am Emma Mitchell and I am the Member Relations Manager for the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC. Okay, well, that's not working. Today I would like to introduce to you Susan Gills, who is a dietetic internship coordinator at the Children's Hospital of Colorado in Colorado Springs. And she's going to be talking to us about nutrition during these interesting times. Susan, go ahead.
Thank you, Emma. So will mine come up? Thank you, Emma. The invitation, I certainly appreciate to come and talk to you all about eating during this time. I will say that I'm the internship director at Children's Colorado up here in the Anschutz program, because our interns are up here in Denver. Not yet down in Colorado Springs. We hope to get there soon. But it's a great time to address nutrition because of if people are ill, but mainly we're at home and eating more at home. And what kinds of things should we be thinking about for good health? So I'm going to go ahead and do a presentation and share my screen. And we'll have time for questions at the end. So please think about what you might want to ask. So as Emma said, I'm at the dietetic internship director at Children's up here in Anschutz. As part of, we have interns as part of the School of Medicine and also at the University of Colorado Hospital. Oops, I have to get on to this. Okay, so today I'm going to give you a very brief overview of nutrition science, because before we start talking about nutrition, to give you a little bit of idea of the science behind it. I'm also going to talk about credentials, what you should look for when somebody is giving you information on nutrition, so you will get accurate information and not fringy information that could be out there, and also how to make health and nutrition a priority during the pandemic. So that brief overview of nutrition is that our science is only about 100 years old, which is kind of interesting if you think about it. I mean, it's relatively a young science. For the first 50 years, we looked at how to avoid illness. We looked for deficiencies like vitamin C deficiency and scurvy, zinc deficiency. So we were looking at one nutrient. Now, in the last 50 years, the focus has been changed on not how to avoid illness or to treat illness, but how to support health. And with that, there's hundreds of chemicals in your food, naturally in your food. And some of those are nutrients that you require for good health. And some are other nutrients that are chemicals that we're just learning about. And because there's hundreds of chemicals, there's thousands of interactions. So we know some things, but there's a lot that we don't know. I bring up credentials at this point because everybody's an expert in nutrition, because we all eat 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. But we really want to get current state-of-the-art information on nutrition. So look for credentials. And I also say that because of caveat emptor. If you've ever heard of that term, buyer beware. Know what information you're getting, that it's accurate and current in the field. Look for the credentials of RD, meaning registered dietitian, or RDN, registered dietitian nutritionist. We've recently started using that term too, because we're the experts in nutrition and dietetics. Some states also have what's called LD, licensed dietitians. Colorado is one of only 5 states that does not require licensing. We're trying to get it. Hopefully we'll get it soon. But it's not to protect my profession. It's to protect you, the public, that you know that information you're getting on nutrition is current and accurate and not fringy. So during this time, making health and nutrition a priority. So I'm going to talk some things about health because it all plays together. Get adequate sleep. Our bodies have a rhythm, a circadian rhythm, and it likes to have a routine, likes to have sleep. 8 hours of sleep a night, and going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time, if you can do that. That's really important. And think about stress management. We're all under a lot of stress we may never have had to deal with before. So when it gets stressful and you just need to step out, take some deep breaths, do some mindfulness techniques to relax, walk around the house, go throw a few snowballs today so that you can relax and find a way to deal with that stress. Another way in health is to be active. Again, with the snow today, maybe you can't get out and walk around, but you have your area that you live. Walk around the house, walk in circles, be active. It's so easy, especially with so many of us working at home, to sit in front of the computer for hours on end. Every hour, get up and walk around for 5 minutes. Now to get into the healthy eating. Plan ahead. Much of our life sometimes is just eating off the cuff, running by, getting something fast food, not planning ahead. It's so important now to plan. Look at what you're going to do for the week. Make a list. Minimize the trips to the grocery store so you minimize the exposure to the grocery store where there can be very many people and many people that you're passing. Also, if you make that list, put it in the order of the aisles at the grocery store. I kind of know my grocery store by heart, so I know I start with the fruits and the vegetables, and then I go to the meats are in the back, or the drinks. So I know. So make a list and put them in that order, so you minimize the time you have to be there, and you can be very quick as you go through. Not only that'll help you to minimize the time, it'll also minimize what you spend, because you won't be doing uh, just picking things up randomly. Include your children and your family members in this process. Make it fun. It is a stressful time, but you have an attitude where you can make this fun. Include them in the planning and the order and the prioritizing, and use it as a time to teach cooking skills. If my kids are grown, if I could go back, I would have taught them a lot more cooking skills. So use this time when you're home so that one child maybe makes dinner one day a week. They learn how to plan, they learn how to read recipes, to go online and find, oh my goodness, you have so many recipes you can choose from. And you can, if you have kids at home that aren't in school, you can use it for teaching. You can learn, they can learn how to double a recipe or cut it in half. Cooking is a science. Modify a recipe and see how it changes. Add more sugar, use brown sugar, use less sugar, use different kinds of flours. It comes out with a different product, and that's all food science. Try new recipes, as I said. Go online. I've been making cream spinach recently. Try different ones. One night you try this recipe that uses cream cheese. This one uses sour cream. See what you like better. People need a purpose, and using this time to include them in preparing food gives a purpose to that activity and to our lives. Eating out safely during the pandemic. We often eat out, and so this time we're purchasing and bringing home. So make sure you purchase during their curfew hours, probably not at the very end of the curfew hours, because you don't know how long that's been sitting out. But then also when you get home, eat it right away. Don't let it sit on the counter. You don't want to get a foodborne illness by leaving it out too long. Eat together as a family at the kitchen table. My kitchen table now is my desk, so that doesn't work. But turn off the TV and maybe have a picnic, not outside today, but maybe on the floor. Put out a towel, put out a blanket, pretend you're outside having a great time with a picnic. So now into the specifics about nutrition. There was a journal article in Explore this month that talked about nutritional concerns. Some of it's good and some of it isn't. So it brings up zinc, adding a supplement. I am not one to add a supplement. In the past, zinc sprays were used because it was to reduce the common cold, except too much was in some of the sprays, and damaged the olfactory nerves in the nose so that people had reduced smell, and some even lost their sense of smell. And we know how much smell affects taste. But it also mentions in this article to eat fruits and vegetables, and I totally agree with that. There's lots of chemicals in fruits and vegetables like flavonoids and carotenoids that have been shown to have healthy effects, but a lot of that research is in vitro, meaning it's done outside the body. So they may make claims how healthy these are for you, that they'll reduce the incidence or the duration of a virus, but that's not all solid science that we know right now. Another thing is I've seen adding vitamin D or adding vitamin C supplements. I even heard this on the radio the other day. The problem is if we eat food, we don't need more of these, and more can be harmful, not only to your body, but also to your pocketbook. We only need about 75 milligrams of vitamin C, but most supplements are 1,000. Where does that go? If your body doesn't need it, it's just excreted in urine, and that's expensive. One thing I want to bring up with the COVID is that they're seeing that, we don't know exactly how much, but there are some changes that go along with the infection of the COVID, where salt, flavor, taste is retained, but the other four are lost or diminished. It'll be interesting in the next few months to find out. But if you've had it and you notice taste changes, think that that's just kind of goes along with the virus, and hopefully it will return. We don't know how long it will take, but again, what we're learning. So my suggestion is eat food. And I use this abbreviation to help me remember. Adequate, balanced, moderate, nutrient dense, and varied. So adequate, that it provides enough energy and nutrients and fiber in the diet. Not energy like a stimulant like caffeine, but enough chemical energy to support life through ATP. So enough of the known nutrients and fiber. We use different ways to measure that, and you may have seen these, they're called the DRIs, dietary reference intakes. The EARs, the estimated average intake, what 50% of the population needs, or the RDA, what 96% of the population needs of that nutrient, or an upper limit. Because some nutrients have an upper limit, which can cause illness. Balance, a diet that contains a combination of foods to provide proper nutrients, not too much of one and not enough of another. Moderation, not too much, not too little, to support a healthy life, healthy weight. Nutrient dense, that you eat foods that are high in nutrients and lower amounts in energy. Compare an apple to apple juice. An apple is nutrient dense. Apple juice is energy dense. Eat the apple. And varied. Eat many different foods. Eat the rainbow. And vary your diet on a regular basis. I go back to this very inspiring, maybe my plate, where half the plate is fruits and vegetables, protein about the size of your wrist, of your fist, and grains. And grains are brown to remind us to eat whole grains, not processed grains. And then, of course, dairy. Some people can't tolerate dairy, but such as milk, but there's yogurt and other foods like that. So this is a very simple but balanced way to eat. And think positive. Stick with a routine. Manage boredom by using different recipes, changing them, including different foods. Use games, card games, to make life a little more interesting at these times, because being positive is contagious. And so be positive around this is an opportunity to learn more about nutrition and eat well. And I have questions, time for questions. I know it went fast. I talk fast.
That was wonderful. Thank you,
Good.
Susan.
You're
So
welcome.
I do have a few questions for you. It was such good information. One question I had is do you have favorites for recipes for teaching kids or videos or anything like that that we could steer people towards?
I went online the other day and looked for free classes, and there's really a lot there. And I don't have a favorite. I think you just want to go simple. Ask the children what's their favorite food or foods, and go online and find it. And then maybe make a little twist to it, add a different flavor to it. The other thing, kids sometimes can be hesitant to try new foods. Sometimes it takes up to 8 times to try new foods till a child will accept it. And that's the same with adults. I am not fond of Brussels sprouts. I say there's only two junk foods, Brussels sprouts and Cheetos. So you're not going to get me to eat those foods, but everything else I'll try. So just kind of step out of what's you're used to and try something new.
I'm happy to hear you don't like Brussels sprouts because I don't either. Oh,
They're
but everybody else loves them.
I know. I even grew them because I thought they'd be better if they were homegrown. Nah.
Yeah. um, so you were talking about nutrients. I was wondering if there's a chart or some sort of thing that you could share as a resource. I know I've seen for fiber, different fruits and vegetables and how much fiber each fruit or vegetable has. Is there
Mhm.
some sort of chart that you could recommend?
For the other nutrients,
Mhm.
yes, I can give you a reference. The thing is it's different for females and males. It's different at different ages. So there's not just like one thing. That's why the My Plate is good, because it gives you different foods, and depending upon your age and how much you eat, if you still follow that, you should get adequate amounts of what you need. But yes, I can get that to you.
Perfect. Um, okay, let me see here. Are there grocery stores that you would recommend for somebody who has a smaller budget?
No, but I would recommend using the generic foods or their generic canned products. And this brings up another thing. When I've gone into the stores, all the fresh fruits and vegetables are gone, but frozen is just as good, and canned can be just as good if you get the ones that are low in sodium. So canned corn, if you can't get corn on the cob, which is not at the right time now anyway, but
Yeah.
frozen corn, canned corn is good. Frozen spinach, all of it as nutritious as the fresh.
Okay, good to know that. So my last question is, what are some tips to support local businesses with takeout but still choose healthy options? I loved your tips about when to eat food when you get takeout and things like that, but nutrient wise, do you have any tips on certain meals to stick to or stay away from?
It still goes along with that My Plate. So when you're looking at items, think about, is there fruits and vegetables included? Um, is it all fried, which you would want to stay away from? But again, I believe in a balance. So it's all right to have French fries, but not every meal and every day. Or share. Buy the small, and share it with people. So it's again a variety, less amount, but enjoy what you have. And so not one restaurant, but I think when you go in, because a lot of restaurants in the past give these huge portions and people think, oh, I have to eat this all. No, I mean, I take a doggy bag home with me, and I embarrass my children by sometimes taking my own containers, because then I use my recycle ones. But eat less, enjoy it, save some for the next day, and again, the My Plate, use that as your guide.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think those are all of the questions that we have. So thank you, Susan, for coming
Oh,
on and talking to
thank
us
you.
about nutrition.
And I'll get you that link that goes and talks about the different nutrients and the requirements at the different times of life.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll post that then with the video.
Okay.
Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. Thank you, Emma. Bye now. Enjoy the snow because it'll be hot before we know it.
Yeah, it will be.
Hope so.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Susan.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your
You,
day.
thank you. Bye now.
Thanks.